Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel, and if this is your very first time, hi, I'm Bonnie, Old Soul Mermaid, and on this channel we do a lot of deck unboxings, we take a look at deck collecting, we discuss tarot topics, but today's video we are doing a VR to Julie at Peekaboorose's channel. And she recently did a video about her tarot deck delights and deterrents. So some things that she loves that will attract her to buying a tarot deck, or that she loves about tarot cards, and other things that are deterrents, things that she doesn't like or will put her off a deck. So I'm doing a VR to that. So I think I'm going to start with my deterrents, or things that I don't like. So the first category is, and I'm sorry, I'm going to look down at my cardstock. Cardstock that is too thin or too papery feeling, that feels more like craft paper or scrapbooking cardstock paper. And so too thin. One deck in my collection, I hate to use this as an example because I do love this deck, but the Memento Mori mass market version tarot. Now, I was informed by Claire Goodchild that this deck with the new improved cardstock in the mass market version is going to be available in November. So I already have, just to show you that I don't bag on this deck because it's awful. It's just the cardstock I'm not happy with. It's not my preferred cardstock. These shuffle wonderfully, but you have to be careful because they will bend and crease easily. So I have two mass market versions with this cardstock, and I will be buying a third one with the new and improved cardstock. But this has no structure to it. Because of that, it does shuffle very easily, but it feels almost like scrapbook paper. You know, there's not a lot of structure to it, so if you're not careful with it, it will bend and crease. So the other thing I don't like, papery feeling. This new deck that I got, and I just did an unboxing this past week. It's of the Our Tarot. You see that? This cardstock feels, it's thicker than the Memento Mori, but it almost feels cardboardy. And again, it will, even though it's not as thin as the Memento Mori, it's going to crease if you're not careful with it, if you bend it. There's no give. And it's harder to shuffle than the Memento Mori. And also the other deterrent with this is that the edges are cut they're rough cut. And since I have this deck, another deterrent is collage decks that have borders. Now you see this is not the size of a standard tarot, if you can see, but they have all this, the artist did this wonderful intricate collage work, but they made the deck more pocket-sized, and it's hard to see, and I definitely can't see it without my glasses, and they have these huge borders on it. So if I had known the size of this deck, I'm still kind of debating whether or not this deck is going to go back before my 30-day return period is over. The book is fantastic. Watch my video of the unboxing of this deck. Okay, so that's a deterrent, papery cardstock. My next deterrent would be metallic etching, silver or gold metallic edging that as soon as you open the new box, it just flakes off. It flakes all over your spread cloth or table. The cheaply done edging that's metallic, and that, you know, it's just cheaply done, and you can see even when it's new, as soon as you take it out of the box, it's flaking, and more of it is flaking, you know, as you work with it. So that, I would say that's mostly maybe with the mass market decks that have that edging that you have to be wary of, that's just going to flake off in chunks. I do have some decks. I'm thinking of the Shadowland Tarot, which was a mass market deck that has gold edging, but so far I haven't had a problem with that just coming off in chunks, and I've used that quite a bit. But you have to be wary of that metallic edging. Okay, so that's another deterrent. The third deterrent would be male Hierophant cards that are overly religious. The whole concept, this imagery is very, very triggering for me personally, with my conservative religious background that I'm still dealing with. So this kind of imagery is kind of triggering for me. Or anything that has to do with Mother Mary, or, you know, anything overtly religious. That's a deterrent for me. So I know, but it's the one card. I almost view the Hierophant card, to me, is almost like the devil for me in a tarot deck. It can be, if it has this imagery. All right, so, and the last thing for my deterrents would be images or artwork that are that fall overly to the sci-fi realm. I would say kind of, you know, that sci-fi, body beautiful, fantasy, big buxom, young figure decks with the warrior male figures. Even, I can't remember the name of it, but it's the new deck that's coming out by Taroteca Studios. They've got like a fantasy deck that's coming out. Maybe it's out already. A lot of oracle cards have this imagery. I'm trying to think. Even Ciro Marchetti's deck, is it the Gilded Tarot? I'm not drawn to that deck. His Lenormand deck I quite like, but the Gilded Tarot, it's like, for some reason, I'm not drawn to that kind of art style. The other art style that I'm not drawn to is, which was a deterrent, is the Nicolette Ciccoli figure artworks with kind of big heads and little doll type figures that are kind of, they freak me out, as well as, and this is something that Julie loves, you'll see on her video, it's the Australian artist who has the big bobblehead figures with the little bodies and the big eyes, kind of like lollipops, you know, the big heads, that kind of artwork. I don't like. I like whimsical artwork, but for some reason, like those two types of figures, the Nicoletta Ciccoli and this other one artist, I think she has a Wonderland Oracle, the Wonderland Oracle with the big heads and the, yeah, something about the big heads or the big eyes that just freak me out a little bit. Okay, so, and that's why that's a good thing why there's so many different artists and so many different types of decks, because different strokes for different folks. All right, so now to my delights. We're going to talk about cardstock. And I delight. Oh, linen cardstock. Linen cardstock. This is, it can be a little bit slippery, but cardstock that feels like a playing card that just has this wonderful give with shuffling. It's just a wonderful tactile experience. I do not object to rose petal thick cardstock either. I like touching the rose petal finish too. But as far as for practicality and just a wonderful tactile experience, I love me linen cardstock. Now this is kind of, you know, this is a $50, $60 deck. This is the Tarot Otherworlds. But you can get the same type of cardstock or very close to it. Linen finish, mass market, Tarot of the Divine. And if you go on Amazon, I mean, this feels wonderful. This actually has a little bit more texture than the Pagan Otherworlds. And it's wonderful for this artwork because it almost makes the artwork, you can see texture to it. It seems like a painting canvas. And this deck is only $12, $13. It is a steal, and it's a wonderful tactile experience for, you don't have to break the bank, and it's easily available on Amazon or your local booksellers. So that's Tarot of the Divine. So linen cardstock is a delight. Shuffles wonderfully, keeps its shape. It's a win. Win, win, win for me. Okay, the other thing that I love, it's a delight for me, but a lot of people don't like this type of deck, and that is collage decks, collage artwork decks. This is the Dreamkeepers Tarot by Liz Houston, and I will tell you, this is the indie version, but there is a mass market version that's coming out November 3rd. You can pre-order it on Amazon, and I think I'm going to get that mass market deck just because I love this deck so much. I love this deck so much. I love the work, the artistry, the collage work. This deck, reading with this deck takes me to another place, literally. The book that I bought separately, the companion book, deals a lot with Greek and Roman mythology, and it's just wonderful to use in conjunction with this deck. But I love this style of collage, and yeah, I love this deck so much. Dreamkeepers Tarot. Again, this is the indie version, but the mass market is coming out next month, and I think I'm going to have to get it. Yeah, even if for no other reason, well, I do want to have a second copy, but also I'll do a video side-by-side comparison of the indie and the mass market deck. So that's a Dreamkeepers Tarot. And the other thing, I love collage decks with vintage photography, like the Antiquarian Tarot. I love vintage photography. I love collage. So it's putting two of my favorite things together. This is by Marie Bento, by the way, indie deck. I think it's still available on her site, divinemuses.net. But the reason why I love the vintage photography, these are people and energy who have, or that's left this earth and is no longer in this realm. I like to wonder about their lives. A lot of these people are unknown. Sometimes in these decks they will be done with well-known figures, but I wonder about them. And these are the decks I like to do ancestral work with, and spirit work with. And these type of decks are the ones that do it for me. So this ticks two boxes: vintage photography and collage work. But it has to be good collage. I mean, there is definitely a spectrum of good and not so good collage. But I love collage decks and vintage photography. Okay, the other thing that I delight in my tarot decks. Let me see if I can find it. I have a big mess going on over here. Matte edges. I love me some matte edges, non-metallic, just colored matte edges. And this is the Star Seeker Tarot. And this has that thicker kind of rose petal finish cardstock, which I don't mind. It is harder to shuffle, and I know it's a deterrent for a lot of people, but I don't mind it. And actually touching it in your hands is quite nice. Okay, but the matte edging, love it. Love it, love it, love it. And that's something mostly you'll find with indie decks. All right, the next category that I delight in are female Hierophant cards, or cards that don't depict, that aren't overly religious. So this is from the Hilda Tarot. This is from the wonderful Everyday Witch Tarot. And this seems to be male, but yeah, I would say he's male. This is from the Lightseers Tarot, but it's not overtly traditional religious symbology in this. And this one is from, is it the Victorian Romantic? Yes, Victorian Romantic, Baba Studios. And even though this is old art, and I don't know if he's a religious figure or not, but he doesn't have that overt Catholic persona on him. He seems to be more of a teacher, a tutor, and that I don't mind. So those type of Hierophant cards, I'm okay. They're not as triggering for me, and I can work with them. All right, next category, something I delight in are decks that have beautiful backs. This is the Antiquities of Magic Oracle deck by Jillian C. Wilde. I'm just going to pull out the title card, but look at these backs, you guys. Look at them with the antique lace and just, they're so pretty. So pretty. And you know, the whole production with the front, with the distressing and everything of this deck, it's just top notch. And it's got matte black edges. So it's ticking lots of boxes. So again, another deck that has very, very beautiful backs, I would say, is the Baton Tarot. And I have a fairly recent full walkthrough of this deck, unboxing. But look at those beautiful, beautiful backs. This is linen. Beautiful backs. It does have a metallic edging, but it doesn't seem like the kind that's gonna just flake off with use. So I'm gonna hold on to this deck because the other delight that I, you know, squeal with delight is watercolor artwork. This soft, calming watercolor. It just gives me all the feels. It's calming. It's beautiful to look at. It's soothing. It's so soft. So this one has the beautiful backs, linen cardstock, and it's watercolor art, and it's fantastic. So, you know, when decks tick several of the boxes, you know, you have to get it. So that's it. My VR to Julie, Peekabooros, Deck Delights and Deterrents. And if you would like to do your own VR with this topic, let me know in the comments so I can see your video. I would really like to see it. And even if you don't have a channel, just put in the comments below, you know, a couple of your delights and deterrents. I would really like to know, because it's kind of fun to see everybody's taste. You know, we're all different. What do you feel strongly about? If you want to leave in the comments 2 things you feel strongly about, or 1 strong deterrent, 1 strong delight, let me know and we can chat about it. And if this is your first time on my channel, hit a like or subscribe, and especially if you found any value or if you like the topic. So again, delights and deterrents for tarot decks. So I will be back real soon with another video. I hope you have the best of days, and I will catch you later. Bye for now.